Hello, I'm David Joel, President of the Hampshire Chamber of Commerce, with our latest update and hopefully useful hints and tips on how we cope with the current crisis. In our last video, we talked about working from home, and a lot of you now will be into that mode. Certainly at the Chamber, we're in crisis mode. We've got people working from home. Just a few things to consider. Remember, as we said before, working from home means that when you work from home, often you're quite isolated. So regular care calls from managers, from you as the leaders of business, just to make sure people don't feel as though they're out on a limb. In working from home, inevitably it involves the use of IT. One of the frustrations that people will find working from home is perhaps that the internet's not fast enough, the messaging services aren't working well, their kit's not working properly. All of those things lead to anxiety when you're working from home. If people have taken kit from your office to work from home, it's also worth you checking that your insurance is covered so we can keep those people running from home. The other side of working from home, of course, is that a lot of you will have put your premises into lockdown or mothballed facilities. So a few common sense tips which have come from the National Business Crime Centre. First of all, make sure your alarms work, your CCTV is working with appropriate media in it. Wander around your premises and try and identify areas that are potentially insecure or vulnerable and try to sort them out. In the event of a police call out to your premises, make sure you've got an up-to-date list of key holders for emergencies and make sure we all know who that is. If it's at all practical in your premises, try and keep any high-value items out of view. If that means pulling blinds, or if you can move things into more secure areas of your building, that would be great. And last but not least, you can do the old trick of putting a sign in your window that says there are no valuable items left inside this building. There are more hints and tips from the National Business Crime Centre website, which also covers not just what you do with your premises, but how to deal with any victims of crime that you have. In the last video session we had, we talked about the importance of liquidity and how that is going to keep us going through the crisis. The government over the last few days has issued many guidelines and announcements about how business is going to be supported and funded. As the Chamber, we're keeping a watching brief on that. Probably closer to a lot of people's hearts at the moment is the government grants. Latest information we have on that, after speaking to a number of local authorities, is that early April seems to be the trigger time for this. They will contact you, and as a result of that contact, there'll be paperwork to be filled out to allow you to get access to those grants. As we progress through April, hopefully early April, we'll try and keep you apprised of what you need to do to make sure you can access that funding. Other areas where you might consider looking at preserving your liquidity, I mentioned last time talking to your landlords regarding rent relief or maybe rent holidays, of course. One of the areas that people are often a little nervous about asking support from is HMRC. As well as being president of the Chamber, I'm also a small business owner, and we've already had some contact with HMRC related to impending VAT payments and other payments. And once you can get through the tortuous telephone system, actually they've been incredibly helpful. So one, they're reinforcing the government message about deferment of things like VAT, but also prepared to put in place payment plans, and indeed, if the crisis continues, extending those deferments. So if you are at all worried about payment of things like VAT, corporation tax, etc., then please get in touch with HMRC. I realise it might be against your natural inclination, but they are incredibly helpful. We promote ourselves, as we said in the last video, as the Chamber of Solutions, and part of that commitment really is making sure that one, we can give you solutions to your questions, but also we can collate and we can disseminate information and experiences that you, our members, have. To that end, we're running an online panel forum on the 7th of April, where we're going to have a panel of experts that will be available for you to join, probably via Zoom, I think is our current delivery mechanism, where you can go face-to-face virtually with a panel of experts to try and get answers to your questions and to share experiences. So 7th of April is when we're planning to do that. The timing for that will be 9:30 till 11 o'clock. So please feel free to join in. It's free to join, and we may be able to get some direct answers to your questions. Over and above that, of course, the Chamber is putting out its regular newsletter with useful links to government websites and other agencies that can clarify what some of the advice means. We of course realise that this is a dynamic situation, and there'll be updates to that advice. Those newsletters will give you that reference point, but also we're hoping to keep these video sessions running to try and provide some clarity. So on that note, remember we've got the panel session on the 7th of April. Please put that in your diaries. If you've got time, we'd love to hear from you. We're going to say thank you very much. Thanks for listening, and stay safe.